Hello and welcome to this session in which we will discuss a review of interim financial information. So in the prior session, we had a series of recording about a review of financial information. In this session, we are being a little bit more specific. We are discussing interim financial reporting. So what is interim financial information or interim financial reporting? The first thing we need to do is to clarify this concept. Interim, what does that mean? Well, interim financial information or interim financial reporting refer to financial report for a company for a period shorter than a full calendar year or fiscal year. Well, what's a calendar year? Calendar year is January 1st till December 31st. The year that we as individual are familiar with. So anytime we report for something less than a calendar year, well, it's called interim financial reporting. So what is a fiscal year? It's any 12-month period ending at a date other than December 31st. Well, why not December 31st? As I told you, January 1st till December 31st is the calendar year. Well, your year could start something other than the calendar year. What could it be? For example, your year could start on July 1st, and it could end the end of June. That's it. That's not a calendar year, that's a fiscal year. So it will end June 30th. Then it will start again July 1st, end of June 30th. That's a fiscal year. So anytime we are reporting for less than a full year, whether it's a calendar or a fiscal year, we call it interim. Interim means less than a year. Less than a full year, it could be quarterly, it could be semi-annually, that cover a period of less than 12 months. Now, when we report interim, those reports might be condensed or they might be full financial reports. Now, why would we do that? Now, you might be asking, why do we have to report for a period less than a year? Well, it could be for operational purposes. It's basically we need to know what's going on, or the investors or the lenders, they want to know what's going on a regular basis. Therefore, we report quarterly or we report semi-annually. Or it could be to comply with external reporting requirement. Now, in this series of recording, review of interim financial reporting, I will focus more on the requirement that is required. You have to comply with external reporting requirement. So who would have to do that? We're going to see that publicly traded companies, issuers, companies that sell their stock in the public, they have to report on their financial information on a quarterly basis. That's considered interim reporting. What do we do with interim reporting? We review interim financial reporting. And this is what we will discuss in this session. Set the ground, then we'll go over the steps of the review of an interim financial reporting. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
Hello, my name is Farhat. You are here because you are either an accounting student, a finance student, or someone who's studying for their CMA or CPA exam. Great, you are looking for some additional help and we can help you. I strongly encourage you to visit my website, farhatlectures.com. I offer additional lectures, resources, including PowerPoint slides, multiple choice questions, in some circumstances, exercises, and true-false questions. Our material is aligned with your CPA review courses, with your CMA review courses, with your college courses. I offer a risk-free trial that you can try to find out whether my website can help you or not. If you find it helpful, you subscribe, you keep your subscription. If not, you cancel and your risk is free. If you like this recording, if you like my lectures, you would like what's on the website, give me a chance to help you with your college courses as well as professional certification. I hope to see you on the website.
So what's the purpose? Let's start with the purpose of interim financial reporting. Well, you want to stay up to date about the financial performance of the company. So rather than waiting till the end of the year, what you want to know is every 3 months, you want to know what's going on in the company And what's going on means report to me on a quarterly basis. I don't want to wait till the end of the year. So it's a continuous monitoring of performance. That's the reason. So these reviews allow stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Anyone that's interested in the company's information. Investors, creditors, suppliers, anyone that's interested. You keep them informed about the company's financial status and performance between the annual reports, because the annual report will include a lot, but on a quarterly basis, for example, the first quarter is January till March. Maybe by the end of April, or mid-April, you would have to report Q1, the first quarter. Then from April till June is the second quarter. Sometime in July, mid-July to end of July, you would report, so on and so forth. And if it's a calendar year, at the end you would report. Basically, at the end you would have the annual. Technically, the last thing is the annual. So these quarterly reports provide an update on the company's performance and are important in assessing the company's health continuously throughout the year. Now let's focus for now on issuers, which are public companies. Public companies are subject to the PCAOB, Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, and they have to file their interim reporting with the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. They're known as issuer, and they're subject to different rules than if you were a private companies. Publicly traded companies, issuers, they have to file quarterly financial reports with regulatory bodies such as the SEC and have their interim report reviewed by an independent auditor before they are filed. So they have to do that. It's not optional for them. They have to do that. That's part of being registered with the SEC. Now, also, in addition to the quarterly filing, public companies are required to include selected financial data from each quarter in their annual report or other filing with the SEC. So we would also do what? We would also include some of these quarterly reporting with the annual report. So that's why we need this information. Do you have to issue a written report? Well, the auditing standard do not require written report for a review of financial information, although it's not required, but there's an exception. If you are sharing that your information with regulators, shareholders, third party, then the company will have to issue an interim financial report that must accompany those documents. So it's not required, but yes, you do issue a report. Now let's talk about private companies. Private companies also, they could have interim financial reporting. It's in a sense optional because they're a private company. You cannot force a private company to issue it. But if the lenders or if the owners of the company, if the investors want their company, if you are lending a company money and you could force them in the agreement, in the lending agreement, that you want quarterly reports, you want interim financial reporting, or if you're an investor, you want to know what's going on. Therefore, you have to have interim reporting. Now, the first thing you need to know is who sets the standard for those private interim reporting. Well, they follow statements on auditing standard rather than the SSARs. Now, why? Well, we're going to see why we follow the statements on auditing standards and when do we follow the SARS, SSARS. Well, if we have the company's most recent financial statements has been audited. So the latest audited financial statements are there. The auditor must either assign to audit the current year or have audited the prior year. And the appointment of a new auditor for this year have not started yet. So as long as these conditions exist, you would follow statement on auditing standards. Also, you want to make sure the same accounting rules should be used for both the interim and the annual financial statements. So when you do review, the review and the annual financial statements, they're following the same rules. Also, the interim report should also refer or provide access to the most recent audited statement. So in the interim reporting, you would say, if you'd like to see the full picture, we have the audit report. What should you do now, whether you are studying for the CPA exam or an accounting student? Go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional resources, multiple choice, additional lectures, resources that's going to help clarify and expand your knowledge about this topic. Invest in yourself. That's the best investment you can make. Good luck, and of course, stay safe.